Hello there, how are you today? You are doing fine, I know you are, because today we will have some fun with VCAs. There's a lot of VCA available, some have unique flavor, and some are more basic. But even the most basic VCA can do a big difference when used properly. I will mostly use the micro VCA from Intellijel. It's compact, affordable, and is equipped with all the controls we need for this demonstration. Oh, I'm so sorry for the newbies here. For those unfamiliar with modular, a VCA stands for voltage controlled amplifier. They say you cannot have enough VCAs in your track. So we will do some basic tricks by combining VCAs. Most of you may already know those tricks, but I'm sure it will be instructionalizing for the others. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. VCAs are commonly used for audio amplification. Send an audio rate signal to the input of your VCA. You will start to hear some sound at the output. Once you send some signal to the CV input, the amplification will be different depending on the kind of signal used to amplify, attack and decay of an envelope, and the waveform and amplitude of an LFO, and like this micro VCA. Yours can also have a linear, or exponential response. These are all factors that will affect the signal processing. Some VCAs are equipped with a bias control. The bias control knob will set the initial level of amplitude before CV is applied. This can bring some very interesting timbre of saturation. The Quadra will share some audio rate, LFOs. Let's try this with the Kermit from Industrial Music Electronics, and play with all the VCA's parameter. Now what if we send the audio output through another VCA, and give it another audio rate LFO? Amplitude modulation, by combining multiple VCAs, is a nice and easy way to obtain very complex sound. Velocity on the keyboard is directly related to the expression of the musician. A modular synthesizer can also behave this way, if you use the proper tools altogether. First, let's patch an audio signal through a VCA, and send a slow LFO in the CV input. The slow LFO will bring some movement in the amplitude. Now we will again send this through another VCA. It is very similar to amplitude modulation, but not at audio rate, as we have replaced the LFO by an envelope. I personally prefer to use step voltages instead of an LFO, but the result was more obvious this way. If you want to add some accents to your sequence, or you want to give a more human feel to your patch, combining VCA can settle this problem. Your VCA can be used to mute or unmute channels of your patch. It's a nice and easy way to bring some progression in your track and avoid repetitive patterns. Here we got the usual envelope to VCA for this very basic sequence. Just send the output of this VCA to another VCA, and send a constant CV signal. Those LS1 Lightstrip from Soundmachines are quite useful for this. They can be used like faders on a mixer, LFOs, or as gate source. But unfortunately, using CV to mute the audio signal can cause clipping and glitches. So this is why I'd like to share another option for this. The trick here is to send the trig that will trig the envelope to a VCA first. Then when this VCA will receive a CV signal, it will send the trig to the envelope, and the audio signal will be heard. The downside is that this option won't allow you to control the amplitude level like faders on a mixing console. No clipping, or you may prefer to have control over the gain level. What option suits you best is up to you. You may want to distribute your signal to different audio processing units. You can split the signal and send these to different effects modules. I'm sending the signal to 4 VCAs. Each one has their own envelopes, and the signal is routed to 4 different destinations: the clouds, the ZDSP, the Tyme Sefari Mark II, and the Rainmaker. The main audio source here is the Plonk. I'm sending back its audio signal to retrig itself endlessly. A simple sequence to trig some envelopes, adjusting the decay of each envelopes. with the same audio source sent to different processing modules, you can obtain very interesting results. Delay and reverbs, chorus or filter, resonator or compressor, bit crusher, wave folder or sample looper. Your creativity depends on how many VCAs and effects modules you have. It is possible to transpose a sequence, like transposing notes on a keyboard, and other complex modulations by sending a CV sequence through multiple VCAs before going to the 1 volt per octave of an oscillator. The signal of the subwave from Cavisynth will go through the Demix before we send the CV sequence to the micro VCA. Let's hear the sequence from the Stillson hammer. Now let's patch the sequence to the VCA. The bias knob of the micro VCA is very useful to adjust the initial level of the sequence. We will send another sequence from the Stillson hammer to the CV input of the VCA. The linear, or exponential curve, can affect the signal, so I suggest you to adjust all parameters carefully. It is time to patch the CV signal through the next VCA. Now that we doubled the parameter controls we had, we better be twice as careful. Let's bring the CV signal to the other CV input. Why don't we send a third CV to complex things a bit? Now we have 3 sequences interacting with each others. Let's replace one sequence by an LFO. You can obtain strange pitch modulations this way. Try to experiment with different types of signals, LFOs, random CV, audio rate signals or step CV. The longer the chain is, the more complex signal you'll get. With 2 VCA, you can achieve some cool stereo panning effect. It is similar to the destination technique, but the destinations are the left and right channels. The challenge here is to have an inverter and some CV signal. we will use the SD1 Simpledrum from Soundmachines. It's a nice drum modules with a secret synthesizer mode hidden by some button combination. The audio signal of the SD1 must be sent to each of the VCA's audio input. The signal of the Polyvoks oscillator will control the stereo panning. We need to split that signal. One of them needs to be inverted with an inverter first. And let's send both signals to the CV inputs of the VCAs. This way, you'll obtain a cool panning effect. It is also possible to bring the panning signal at audio rate for some cool stereo modulations. Some VCAs can be very different one from another. I prefer to use two identical VCAs for this, and to have all the parameters positioned the same way. Otherwise you'll get one channel stand out strangely. Of course you could get a module specifically designed for stereo panning, but with just an inverter and two VCAs, panning like DJ Gloomboy will be easy as 1 2 3. VCA, VCA. There is so many modules available with VCA. Some are combined with envelope generators, others are more basic. The more parameters your VCA will have, the more options it will bring. One thing for sure, you can't have too many VCAs. The same could be said for LFOs and envelopes. But we will keep this for another time. Well, that's about it for today, my friends. Hope it was useful and inspiring. Feel free to comment if you are using multiple VCAs some other ways. And don't be shy to ask if anything. Thank you for watching.